I'm here today to talk about the new Google Core update. It's called the Help. Whoa. What are you doing? Well, I was going to talk about the helpful content update. Why all of a sudden? Well, honestly, everyone else is talking about it, and I thought, that's getting traffic, right? Do you actually know anything you're talking about? Well, no, not really. So, how are you supposed to talk about it? Truthfully, I was just going to kind of talk about what other people were talking about online. And that's it. No, of course not. I was going to change around some headings and, add 500 words to make it rank. And you think that's really useful to the user. Who? Man, I'm just here to make money. Is anyone really going to stop me? Well, apparently so. And by the way, alter ego Phil, it's not a Google Core update. Maybe it's the lack of sleep that's getting me to talk to myself, but for once, it's not my daughter that's keeping me awake. It is actually Google. So you must have heard about this update, the helpful content update, and it's got me a little bit worried, okay? Even though I've been following Project 24 kind of standards for many years, I'm still quite a lazy content creator. There's a few points on the document that was released that's got me a little bit worried. I'm sure that you've heard about this and you've read the document yourself, so we're not going to do that on this video. There's far better people out there who've spoken about it already, but there's a few things that I want to go through together. There are people out there that say don't believe anything Google says, but to be honest, they have no reason to really lie too much to us. So they have produced this nice little document here trying to tell us what to do and what not to do. So they've got some bullet points of things that we should be focusing on. So people first content. And most of this I'm feeling pretty confident about. But there are a few things that I kind of think, oh, maybe I'm going to get hit by that. And the main one here is, does your content clearly demonstrate first-hand expertise and a depth of knowledge? And it gives a few examples here. I'm a little bit worried. The 3 sites that I've spoken about on this YouTube channel, the first one was like my starter site. Never built a website before, really. Certainly not a blog like this. And I was a beginner in the niche, in the hobby. I didn't know a lot. I had to rely a lot on content and ideas I found online. And I think, looking back now, it clearly shows. The other 2 websites, I outsourced most of the content to writers who knew even less about it than I did, although I did edit everything myself. So yeah, I think probably I'm going to fail there. But because I have followed the Project 24 method, I always tried to create kind of helpful content anyway, at least what I thought was helpful. So I think the other points I'm probably pretty good on there. So Google have given us a few ideas of things that we should avoid doing, and you can read into that any way you want. There's a few interesting things that got me a little bit worried and also a little bit puzzled. Is the content primarily to attract people from search engines rather than made for humans? What? Okay, so I guess this is kind of talking about over-optimized content, but like literally anyone that has a niche website, they are doing this. I mean, we all do keyword research or search analysis, whatever you want to call it, and we only pick the topics or queries that we think are going to attract people from the search engines to our websites who are still human. So that's a head scratcher. But no, really, my sites, I'm not just writing about anything. Everything I write about is within a niche, within a an umbrella of a topic. So probably that doesn't apply to me either. Now this is the big one. This is what's got me worried. This is what I think is going to kill my 3 sites. Are you mainly summarizing what others have to say without adding much value? I think probably that's me, if I'm being honest. Let's face it, if I didn't use the internet for research, if my writers didn't use the internet for research, I would not have any content. And I think this really comes down to the idea of doing unique research that goes beyond what's already sort of ranking on the SERPs. When it comes to summarizing what's already on the internet, I wonder, is there a difference? Is there a difference between just spinning what's already there, which is something I've never done, or sort of being a curator and bringing lots of sort of ideas that would be difficult to find, or you'd have to spend a long time searching for this, and bring it all into one condensed article where it's very easy to find the next step in what you want to know. And that's kind of what I've been doing, and I never really thought about it. I never thought that's a terrible thing to do, but according to this update, maybe I was doing it wrong. Another point that's got me a little bit worried is this one. Did you decide to enter some niche topic area without any expertise, but instead mainly because you thought you'd get search traffic? Yeah, Yeah, pretty much. So I would say the first site that I built, I was a total beginner. I entered the niche without knowing anything about it. I now know it's not a profitable niche, but does that count? The other two niches, yeah, definitely. I thought I'd go for them because I thought they'd make a bit of money. So this begs the question, can you enter a niche and become an expert in Google's eyes? Is that possible? Or, do we have to have experts on every single little niche out there? I'm looking around for an idea for a niche. And I just wondered, does that mean that every single website in the future is going to need to have very extensive EAT to prove that they're an expert in even the most basic of niches that, who's an expert in those? So I think for most of you out there, this is not even going to be a blip on your radar, but it does worry me because, as you may know, most of my websites have just been hit by every single update that's been out. Since about November last year, my traffic's just gone down, and it does get me worried. But maybe this is a good thing. Maybe updates like this need to push people like me out of the industry. People that aren't willing to sort of go the extra mile, who don't know anything they're talking about, and are just like filling search with nonsense. Perhaps that's what we need. And another thing I've always kind of struggled with is the fact that I'm based in Taiwan and I really target the US audience. So with all the niches, I've never been able to really ship products over because sometimes it can cost as much as the product itself just to ship it over to Taiwan. And also, I've never been to some of the places that perhaps I'm describing. So I never present myself as an expert. I always say that I'm doing this as a consumer or as an amateur. So does that mean that in the future, anyone not living in the States is not going to be able to write about it and rank because, we're not experts in it? If I don't want to give up the ghost quite yet, what can I do? The solution I've been thinking about for quite a while is really just to hire experts in these fields. You go out and you find people that do know what they're talking about, but aren't content creators. And you either hire them as writers, which sometimes can work, or you hire them as sources. So what I mean by that is if I was writing a blog on something like, how much exercise does a golden retriever need? So if I didn't know anything about golden retrievers, I would have to go and find a vet and get all the information from them, either getting them to write it or just basically asking them really detailed questions until I felt like I had expertise on that particular topic. It seems pretty simple, right? But it's going to make a lot of niches a lot less accessible for people like me, which again probably is a good thing. I think also people are worried that this is really targeting AI generated content. That may be true to a certain extent. There are websites that are just churning out content and it's not really that helpful. If you watched my video from last week, that's what I basically did in that example. And we've all been kind of beat out by those websites that are just scraping stuff from other people. Hopefully this is the update that's going to get those people, but they always find a way to worm their way back in. So I don't think we're quite safe yet. But hopefully, Google does something to help out the little guy who, we're trying our best. We're writing things by hand and, we're not just trying to cheat the system. So although I'm really, really worried about this and it could signal the end for me because, blogging at the moment, it doesn't seem like an easy way to make money. Although all of those things are true, I still think this is really good. I read a comment from Tyler Bishop from Ezoic the other day, and it was basically talking about the fact that search as a product is broken. I think more and more people are kind of not trusting the results they're getting so much, and Google really needs to fix it in order to keep search going. In a nutshell. So ultimately, we never know what these updates are going to do to our websites. I am quite worried, but hopefully I followed enough of those Project 24 teachings that, this is really vindicated what they've been saying for years. Hopefully, by the skin of my teeth, I'm going to get through this update. But if I don't, let's see what happens. I'd love to hear what your ideas are. How are you feeling about this? Leave a comment and let me know. Perhaps you've got some ideas that can help me too.